All right, before we get to our night game on Sunday night, if you want to get free plays from Jim Feist, you can get them via text, or you can go to jimwins.com, as well as the free pick phone. All right, the Sunday night game, we have the Broncos playing at the Detroit Lions here. Denver, anywhere from 1 to 3 point favorite. This is easily a tale of opposites because Denver hasn't really looked that good overall, and yet here they are 2-0. They've been terrific against a team with a losing record, 20-8 against the spread. Week 1, they had the win over the Ravens, and then last week, a game where they only had 299 yards against a tough Kansas City defense, but somehow they scored 31 points in a nice comeback win. And even though Gary Kubiak has brought in zone blocking and wants to run the football, they had 61 yards rushing on 2.8 yards per carry. So, however, Denver's 2-0, but still some question marks with this team.
Well, you know what's funny about this league? Here you've got 12 or 13 teams that are 0-2. Out of that, about 20% will make the playoffs. The other 80% won't. And Detroit is just now having their first home game. I mean, you know, it's already, the season's over for like 10 teams, and Detroit's just now coming home. And I think that's just really weird. Detroit, they blew that lead, huge lead, when they were out here on the West Coast in Game 1 against San Diego. They lost a road game last week. No big deal. I can understand that. But Denver, my gosh, what is happening? Manning, I hate to say he's old. I'm old. He's just, his arm is old. He's not at his best. He's average. He's had 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So what do? Kubiak and Elway, they get together and they say, hey, let's become a run-first offense. All right. What'd they do? 61 yards rushing against Kansas City. Their top 2 rushers, 3.6 carries, 2.3 average. That's not going to get it done. That won't get it done on the road. But here I figured it out. John Elway's taken the pass away from Manning so he can protect his own passing records at Denver. That's why it's this run first. The one thing you want to do with this game is, wait for a little bit. You got to check the status of Matt Stafford. He took a beating with his ribs last week, but you know what? I remember they got those rib packs that they can put around you, and you'll get hit a couple times. Romo used to wear that all the time, or I think it was him. But anyway, check the status of him. But offense, what happened to the big 3? Stafford, Calvin Johnson, Golden Tate. All right, we know they can play. Let's get them playing. Defense, they're fantastic against the run. So those 2 top rushers that Denver has that got 61 yards, they better figure out, you're not going to run against this team. So what's that going to do? That's going to force Manning to pass. Manning can't pass, so it's a no-win situation for Denver. They're laying 3 points. This is the first home game. I think Detroit comes out and just absolutely smack down, hard-nosed football like Denver hasn't seen in a while. It's also their first road game, so let's go with Detroit plus the points. If you get them, if you don't even worry about it. They're going to win straight up.
Yeah, you're right. Detroit has some offensive weapons. They don't always use them, though. They're on a 1-5 spread run, and here they are 0-2 on the season. But as you mentioned, coming home. And Matt Stafford, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Probably going to wear a flak jacket because of those ribs. And I wonder about this Detroit offensive line, though. They had major problems last year. So, Zach, do you see the home team bouncing back here, or do they still have some weak spots that need work?
No, I think they're in trouble. I think Detroit's one of those teams that I've red flagged that they're in trouble. These 0-2 teams. Jim Caldwell, he kind of took over a team last year that was in shambles a bit from the prior coach. Forget his name off the top of my head. Schwartz, I believe.
Schwartz.
And he's running into the same problems. They've had turnover on the defensive side of the football from some key players that just couldn't buy in. And when you lose that type of talent, it's affecting that team. And you're seeing the Chargers, and last week with the Vikings. I mean, they're getting torn up at the line of scrimmage on the offensive line and defensive line. So this is a week where that young Denver Broncos don't have problems. They have a problem with that. They're just young on the offensive line. So, they've got 4 or 5 guys that are new on that offensive line, and Peyton Manning's adjusting with them. So this is the week where that running game can open up a little bit. C.J. Anderson, I mean, he had it was one of the top backs to finish off the second half of the season, but the running lanes just haven't been there. And you're talking about playing against the Kansas City Chiefs on the road. top defense, and the Baltimore Ravens, which know that offense really well from playing them in the playoffs and regular season over the past couple of years. And Harbaugh's a great coach. So now you put Caldwell in an unfamiliar situation when he was the coach of the Colts. With Peyton Manning, he was more of an offensive mind, and they relied on Peyton Manning to win games. I don't think Caldwell's has the duty to hold up that defense of the Lions, and this is the game where you can see Peyton Manning and that offense finally start to mesh. You saw it happen in the fourth quarter against the Chiefs, and I think it carries over to Week 3. So I think, like I talked about Week 1 when we discussed the Ravens and Broncos, you're seeing a buyback effect because the media's thrown out there with the Broncos down year, and what have they done? They're 2-0 against the spread, and they're 2-0 in the win column. I think they get that third win, ATS, and start the season 3-0.
All right, well, I'm going to take a look at the total. Normally when there's games indoors like this, I kind of lean toward high-scoring shootouts, but not this one. I mean, Denver, we've seen what they're trying to do. They said it before the season. We're going to run the football. We want to take the pressure off Peyton. And they lost their best offensive lineman, and we haven't seen this ground game really get going, but I think they're going to stick to it. And they might as well because they're 2-0, so they must be thinking, well, eventually it's going to click, and we don't want to get Peyton Manning killed. And then you get this Detroit team that they just haven't been able to bust out offensively. I don't like their offensive line, but the thing here is whether it's Orlovsky, the backup, or Stafford, you don't want to get either one of these guys hurt or killed against what has been a terrific Denver defense. So if anything, I can see the Detroit game plan being very similar to what it's been. Short, safe passes, run, ball control. And their defense is terrific. They're on a 16-6 run under the total. This game is at home on field turf where Detroit is 12-4 under the total. And Denver, when they come off a win, they're 5-2 under the total. That's the way I'm going to look at this one. Denver-Detroit on Sunday night under the total.